So we've continued to talk about the threat of severe weather yet again coming up on Friday. And that threat bringing a second round of dangerous weather for folks in Mississippi. And this just after last Friday's storms generated tornadoes that ripped through the state, causing severe damage. Many communities still in cleanup and recovery mode. I think they're just still trying to process everything that played out. Joining us now from Silver City, Mississippi is Fox's Caroline Elliot. And Caroline, coming up on tomorrow, will be 1 week removed from these deadly tornadoes to hit Mississippi. And yet again, we're talking about a very dangerous threat that could be playing out across the state.
Marissa, it's really just a worst case scenario for people who live in this area. As you can see behind us, there's really not much left in this area to begin with, but right now homeowners are really just trying to find any salvageable items and throw them in the house before, again, we are expecting more severe weather possibly in this area tomorrow. Now, we also learned that storms are not the only concern for homeowners in this area. The sheriff here tells us that looting has already started. In Silver City, Mississippi, entire neighborhoods are a total loss.
From the way this area looks, it's very hard to believe these many people did survive.
Now families are trying to protect the little they have left.
I'm just gonna pray it don't hit like it did last week. We're still in the process of trying to finish the cleaning. I'm just going to pray that we don't get any more damage.
Homeowners are boarding up windows and using tarps to mitigate further damage, but the timing couldn't be worse.
Now tomorrow, we are facing one of the most dangerous tornado threats we've seen in years, probably more dangerous than the one that caused this last Friday. And so we've got to get the word out. We don't want to lose any more people. The last tornado killed 26 people who were in their homes when that tornado struck. We cannot have that happen again tomorrow.
What's even worse is severe weather isn't the only concern for homeowners in the aftermath of the tornado. The Humphreys County Sheriff's Office tells us looters are stealing from families that already lost so much. And criminals from out of town are cutting catalytic converters off of cars that were thrown around by the tornado.
They stealing the copper out the houses. They going around scavenging for anything, laptops, TVs that didn't get damaged in the storm, anything that they can make a quick dollar.
More looting happening in this area and the possibility of more severe weather happening tomorrow. The sheriff here tells us that homeowners have multiple reasons to clean up right now. Back to you.
It is disheartening to have to give that forecast, but a reality that many of these folks now need to prepare for. Caroline Elliot out of Silver City, Mississippi. Thank you so much.
I'm Amy Freeze. Welcome to Fox Weather's YouTube page. We have more great videos on the way, so make sure to subscribe to stay updated on all things weather.